Okay, so Joel Embid, a lot of people rooting for him to win the MVP. He's a funny guy. He's been great. Big personality. He's good for the league. He won the MVP. Now, he only played 66 games, but there's a precedent. Years ago, Bill Walton, decades ago, won the MVP, and Bill Walton played like 57, 58 games. There's a precedent. But it did feel...
Glad you brought that up. Welcome to today's Juice family, going right on in. So he acknowledges that Bill Walton won the NBA MVP by playing a minimum amount of games. However, that was the knock on Joel Embiid just 3 seasons ago when he was contending for the MVP against the Joker back then. When he was racing for the NBA MVP with the Joker back then, the primary reason as to why they cited Joel was not, going to win is because he played a minimum amount of games. He did not play enough games, although he played more games than Bill Walton did during his NBA MVP year. Let's continue with the hypocrisy.
Feel like it was as much about an anti-Jokic vote as it was a pro-Embiid vote, didn't it?
It did, because it was. It was an anti-Joker vote, and it was more of that, probably more so than it was a pro-Embiid vote. When you go back to the previous channel, on the Juice Bar channel, look at the video where it says Joel Embiid MVP. We said about 3 to 4 weeks ago that Joel was going to 100% undoubtedly win the NBA MVP this year. We already knew this going in. This is absolutely no surprise to us. We were waiting for the announcement of the MVP to be given to Joel Embiid this year. We were waiting for it. We knew that he was going to win because of the very words that a one Perkins spoke. Was it Perkins from ESPN? When Perkins spoke those words, and when he outlined the fact that the majority of the voters, up to 80%, all looked like the Joker, that was, exposing the elephant in the room. And once that information was conveyed, they whipped Perkins for speaking the truth, although that truth was given to him by ESPN, that very network. Although he spoke it, they whipped him.
I want to correct something here from yesterday's show. When Kendrick Perkins said 80% of NBA voters for the MVP award are white. The NBA publicly announces the voters each year, and after review, it is clear the panel is much more diverse than what was portrayed by Kendrick Perkins, and we wanted to make sure that we corrected that today.
But then after he whipped them, that tune and that tone of the MVP race began to change. We bear witness to that changing in real time. That's why we were very clear, even 3 weeks ago. We knew that Joel was going to win the MVP, and we cited not because of his play, not because of his performance, not because of his team's standings in the rankings. No. It's because someone finally spoke the truth. And for them to give the Joker a third consecutive MVP, think about how disrespectful that is to all of the other greater ball players before him, like the Jordans, like the Wilt Chamberlains, like the Shaquille O'Neals. All of these players, great players before him, you are now going to greatly disrespect. So it's not just about Joel Embiid. Let's continue.
Jokic is off-brand. He's not vertical or flashy. He's not fun or fashionable. He's not on IG. He felt completely out of place at the All-Star game. It was embarrassing.
Now, did he feel out of place at the All-Star game? Was he off-brand, non-representative of the NBA for the last 2 seasons while he was actually winning the MVPs? Or is it that he's only off-brand, out of place in the All-Star game while he is losing MVPs? Do we once again see what we're talking about? The hypocrisy. Let's continue.
Embiid is the NBA brand. Big personality, funny, big game, dunks up and down the floor. He's a fun watch. The league and the voters did not want to give dull and efficient Jokic a third straight MVP. MJ didn't get one, either did LeBron. But it's not that Embiid won, it was a landslide. 73 votes to 15. Wait a minute. I was lectured for years about the triple-double.
73 votes to 15. Yeah, they probably got a phone call or a wake-up call saying to them, you're going to destroy the integrity of the NBA. You're going to destroy the integrity of the NBA. If you give this man 3 consecutive MVPs while the other greats are looking around like, are you serious? What helped them understand this was either a phone call or a wake-up call, but it was certainly the words which Perkins uttered. And the current NBA players, like the Stephen Currys, like the Damian Lillards, like the Jimmy Buckets, the Jimmy Butlers, fresh off of scoring 56. What's the very words that come out of his mouth? Joel's the MVP, and he should have won the MVP last season. So it's not a matter of just this season. He probably should have won the MVP the last season, according to a one Jimmy Butler after scoring 56. Shout out to Jimmy Butler and his agent, Bernie Lee. Let's continue.
Double. That's why Westbrook won. How valuable the triple-double was. Over and over, nauseating the value of the triple-double. I said, if it was so big, why don't we talk about Oscar Robertson? If it's so great, then why isn't Russell Westbrook a winning player? On and on, I was lectured about the value of the triple-double. Well, that's kind of Jokic's thing. That's his department. He averages basically a triple-double.
Was he averaging a triple-double his first MVP? No. Was he averaging a triple-double his second MVP? No. He's averaging triple-double this season, and this was arguably his best season. But you're not going to be able to reward a player every single time, every season. This was his best season. We get that. But that's not to say that Joel's not worthy of an MVP. Because we can easily argue that Joel could have won the MVP last season and the season before last. You keep having these tight races and you keep giving them to the one player. You're showing your inherent bias. That's why they had to recant and go back on this to say, no, this is not going to be fair. Not just to Joel Embiid, but the other greats before him.
Apparently, it doesn't matter anymore. I've been told analytics are everything. I have scoffed at that. I have for years said analytics are great, and for the regular season, the volume game, I get it. Get to the playoffs. We saw it last night. Bigs beat smalls, twos can beat threes, rim protection, resiliency, basketball IQ means a lot more than I shoot more threes than you. But I was told by the experts the value of analytics are everything.
Colin, analytics are for people who never competed and do not understand what they are watching in the game. I repeat, analytics are for people who never competed and cannot fully understand what they're watching in the game. The analytics part comes in as an assistant, not the primary eyes of the observation. So what I'm saying, what does my eyes tell me when Joel Embiid and Joker go head to head? Joel dominates. What do my eyes tell me when Joel is clearly more dominant on defense than Joker could ever play? Understand that? That's the difference between analytics. So if you if you want to have a conversation specifically on analytics, let's go there. Where is Joel Embiid's ranking on defense? Where is the Joker's? Embiid's top 5, top 7, Joker bottom 60. Or excuse me, below 60. Continue on.
Well, Jokic has better analytics. PER, win share. All those things I've been told are so valuable and that I've rolled my eyes at. So, for the record, triple-doubles now don't mean much, right? Analytics are only part of the story. Okay, that's what I said for years. This was not a vote just for Embiid. It was a vote against Jokic. Jokic was part of a #1 seed. He played more games, more rebounds, better analytically, the triple-double. And the vote was 73-15. I'll say what I said with Westbrook. NBA voters, and this is fine. I'm not outraged by it. They vote on stories and who they like and what's the better narrative. And in that case, it's Embiid. He is more fun. He's more on brand. He's a joker. He's a fun, active player that can do so many things. He's got a little bit of Shaq, a little bit of Wilt, and I'm happy for him. Right?
And with all that being said, this is still his first season of winning the NBA MVP. And he's sitting up here talking as if the Joker is sitting on 0 MVPs and Joel is the one sitting on 2 or 3. This is the type of backwards conversation that is filling the airways today. This is the type of backwards narrative that we're hearing.
But be careful in life for all you politicos and all you sports experts, what you lecture all of us small voices on. Triple-double is everything. Okay. Apparently not. Analytics are so valuable. I rolled my eyes. Apparently not. It's not that Embiid won. It's as if Jokic didn't play more games, or really, if you look at all the stuff I'm told that's so valuable, didn't really stack up. Oh, he did and more. I can be happy.
Look how uncomfortable. Let me continue before I go there. Let me just continue.
For Embiid. I really am. And Philadelphia's fun. That win
the other night,
Harden, Maxey, Harris, Doc. I like Daryl Morey. I like Philly.
I don't trust them in big spots, but they're fun. They're good for the league.
But this
vote did feel just as much anti-Jokic
as
pro Embiid. Now, I do think in the history of the league, it is important for people like Joel Embid to get an MVP. I do. I wish he played more games.
That's what keeps the NBA flowing and going. It's the celebration of certain players and putting them in a light. No matter how you like it or not, that's the way it goes. I repeat, they could have given Michael Jordan every MVP every year he played. But they know that in order to grow the NBA, to grow the game, they're going to have to shine the light on other players. See, this does not become confusing when the two players look alike. But when the one player looks different than the other player, that's when it becomes confusing.
I wish Jokic was represented a little more fairly, but I do think it's valuable.
Represented a little more fairly. Now, how does this sound? If you don't understand the hypocritical perspective in which he speaks, he said he wishes that the Joker would be represented a little more fairly. Are you serious? How much more fair can you get? The man is literally sitting on 2 of the greatest awards that his field, his craft can offer. How much more fair can you be? And then the next question is, if he had won this year, how much more unfair to Embiid could you be? Had the Joker won this year, how much more unfair to Joel Embiid could you possibly have been? And that would have been one of the most ultimate smacks in the face of not just Joel, but of any player who is pushing towards diligence, sacrificing their body, trying to perfect their craft, and put their team in contention for winning. Even when they had conversations about Joker, they never mentioned the Joker as a championship contender. They only said we had to admire the Joker's greatness, although he's not going to win any NBA championship. But when we talked about Joel Embiid, the conversation was completely different. There was a double standard. We talk about Embiid, what must Embiid do to put his team in championship contention? What must Embiid do to help his team win a title? Come on, man.
It's hard to tell the story the last 20 years of the NBA without Joel Embid. I do wish his team was a #1 seed, Jokic was. I do wish he would win more in the postseason, but Jokic has neither. So I'm not
the postseason, that's your conversation that you conflate. Once again, the postseason is not as much different than the NBA season. The Joker has not won anything in the postseason. He has not gone any further than Embiid has in the postseason. And not to mention, the postseason is not even the qualification for the MVP voting. So what are you talking about?
Anti-Joel Embid. I mean, he's very, very valuable. But that triple-double thing, for about 2 years, I was told the value of it. I roll. Now, apparently, it doesn't mean that.
Get him out of here, family. Colin Cowherd, listen, man. Do better. Be better. Don't be so sore and so clearly biased that your guy lost when we already told you that Embiid was going to win and we told you why. Yeah, I'm done with this guy. We already told you what time it was. Get him out of here. And that's today's juice.